Today on Commander Replay, we check out the Gavi Warden Precon. Can Gavi cycle her way to victory past a bunch of red decks? Find out next on Commander Replay. If you guys are interested in playing webcam games of Commander with me and supporting the channel, feel free to check out the Eventbrite link in the description below. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Gavi Warden Precon today. I don't actually know that we've played a Precon on the channel before, but that's what we're doing today. Take a look at this opening hand. Kind of weird. We got some lands. This makes blue mana. That's relevant. That cycles. That could be a thing. I'm interested to try out the Trilobite. Looks kind of cool. I guess we keep it. It's got mana. Maybe a little fragile in the Azorius Signet right here, at least on the blue, but hopefully we can cycle our way into things that matter. So let's take a look at what Gavi does. It's 2 in Jeskai for a 2/5. You may pay 0 rather than pay the cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn. And whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur cat creature token. Pretty cool. I've heard a little bit about this deck. I haven't seen a ton. I haven't watched a ton of content on it yet, but it seems like it can really do some stuff. And I've heard even the Precon is probably one of the stronger Precons that they've ever made. Oh my, that's an Astral Drift. Okay, well, this hand just got better. Oh, what to do with this desert? Do we play it now for the tapped, or do we cycle it later? I think I might save it for the cycling. So we'll play a mountain and pass the turn. There's a Faithless Looting for opponent. Yep. So I do have plans to play a full power Gavi deck and maybe look at some budget options as well, but I really just wanted to play this deck one time, kind of get a feel on what it's doing before I really went down that road. I haven't really played any cycling decks before. I know not Astral Drift, but Astral Slide, the original version of that card, was a pretty serious thing back in the day and super hard to get rid of. But I've never actually played the deck. I've only faced it a couple times. So yeah, just wanted to get a feel on this before I really kind of decide what direction to go with the deck. See how things are feeling. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Lands for our opponent. That'll bring it back to our turn, so our turn 2. We draw into this Abandoned Sarcophagus. It's 3 mana artifact. You may cast spells that have cycling from your graveyard. If a card with cycling would be put into your graveyard from anywhere and it wasn't cycled, exile it. So if you lose a card with cycling, it's going to get exiled, but you can cast cycling cards from your graveyard. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's get the planes down and play this Signet. And we'll pass like that. Let's take a look at what our opponents are playing. First up, we have Xenosai piloting Brothers Yamazaki. Nice. Yeah, it's a fun commander. So, if there are exactly 2 permanents named Brothers Yamazaki on the battlefield, the legend rule does not apply. Each other Brothers Yamazaki gets +2/+2 and haste. GVR piloting Kari Zev Skyship Raider today, and they're going to drop down a Smuggler's Copter. One of the very early decks I looked at on this channel. It was kind of cool when it first came out, but it's been surpassed by some really powerful stuff over the last couple years. Both Nehebs come to mind. But if you like fun and flavor, Kari Zev is an interesting little commander to mess around with. Whenever it attacks, it makes a 2/1 monkey token that attacks for the turn. Pretty fun. And finally, we've got a Malik Izzet Paragon being piloted by Chaotix 2075. Yeah, that's a kind of a spell slingery style deck, but Chaotix piloting it, so I don't know. He's probably got something interesting going on with it today. Probably not the typical Malik build, so we'll see what he's up to. Brings it back to our turn. We draw this Ethereal Forager, 6 mana 3/3 with Delve, flying. When it attacks, you may return an instant or sorcery card exiled with Ethereal Forager to its owner's hand. That's interesting. Kind of cool. Alright, so, we haven't drawn another land yet. That being the case, I think we lay down the desert right here, even though I was hoping to save that for the cycling. And then, let's get the Trilobite into play. We'll go X1. Oh, dear God, that's not what I wanted to do. Undo? No one saw that. Well, we got some mana in the pool. I guess we play this Astral Drift. Cast the Astral Drift. Wow. I don't know the last time I made a mistake like that. Eee. I just clicked a little bit too quickly. Anyway, pass the turn. Opponent's got a Makokoro in play. Wouldn't mind if they activate that at some point. Burnish Shark coming in. Yeah, it's a pretty good ramp. Check out this other card in our hand. It's called Rooting Moloch. It's 5 mana 4/4. Enters battlefield. Exile target card with a cycling ability from your graveyard until your next turn. You may play that card, and it has cycling. It's kind of cool. And it's a 5 mana 4/4 and a Precon. That's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. Hero's Blade for the Kari Zev opponent, sure. Brings it back to our turn. There's a, oh god, what? Rogren Crystal? Looks fine. It's got cycling. Something to think about. Play this Plains. Does put us on 5 mana. Let's just try to get our commander in. So I think we cycle this thing. Cycle for free. Oh, and we get an Astral Drift trigger. You may exile target creature. If you do, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Get wrecked, Burnished Heart. Get wrecked. Use the ability. Cycle the crystal. We draw Fierce Guardianship. Yeah, that's a pretty good card. Pretty good card. And because we cycled, we get to make a token with Gavi. Seems pretty good. Free value. Gotta love free value. And there's a 2/2. So pass turn like that. And the Burnished Heart comes back. Opponent cracks the Burnished Heart. Yep. Always a fine play. Opponent's going to play a Dwarven Mine. Enters the battlefield untapped and create a 1/1 red dwarf creature token. Opponent's going to accrue the Smuggler's Copter. Yep. And Smuggler's Copter coming in our way, and it'll loot. Opponent hits us for 3, down to 37. Here comes a Sadbot. Sure. Here comes a Phyrexian Metamorph. Probably the Solemn Simulacrum, I would guess. Yep. Copies the Solemn. Gonna get the land. We draw a mountain. Play the mountain. We do not yet have double blue, so I think I want to get this thing out of the graveyard. So play the Abandoned Sarcophagus, and play the Crystal out of the graveyard. So now we got a second source of blue mana. Feel pretty good about that. Gavi's a pretty good blocker as a 2/5, so I think I'm going to hold that back, especially given there's a bunch of 2/2s on the board. Although, would I realistically block a Sadbot? Maybe I would. Maybe I would. So we'll send a 2/2 over to Xenocide, since they're wide open. We hit for 2 and pass like that. Could really use like a card draw spell at this moment. Nice. Opponents can activate the Makokoro. We need that. We get a Shiny Impetus. Enchanted creature has +2/+2 and is goaded. That's fun. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, you create a treasure token. Fun. So that can get us some ramp. There's a trading post for opponent. Opponent's going to accrue the Smuggler's Copter. Yep. Smuggler's Copter back in our way. Not much we can do about it. Opponent will loot again. Maybe we could have did this last turn, but I think we can loot the Rooting Moloch and then cast it from the graveyard. I guess we didn't have the mana to do it last turn, but we could have cycled it last turn and maybe look at an extra card. Whoops. This is actually fairly unusual for me because, like, usually I build the deck and I know everything that's going in it and have, like, a pretty clear picture about what it's supposed to do. But in this case, almost all of these cards are new to me, so having to read them as we go is pretty interesting. Opponent's going to fire off a Light Up the Stage, exile themselves 2 cards, and they'll have until the end of next turn to play those cards. One's Advance's Blasting Canyon, so more card advantage, and Robber of the Rich, also a decent source of card advantage. One that I've been trying to test in some of the Aurelia and Winona builds, and haven't been lucky enough to actually draw it in a game yet, so hopefully soon, hopefully soon. So opponent does get that Vance's Blasting Canyon in, and here comes the Malik for the Malik opponent. They reveal a Hive Mind. Nice. I knew he should have expected as much. Here's an Irrigated Farmland. Okay, so if I understand this right, you may cast, which is not lands. Lands are play. So if we cycle the land, I don't think we can get the land back necessarily. What's this one say? But we can with the Rooting Moloch. Okay. So let's cycle the big thing. Astral Drift. We can target this token. Definitely don't want to target the Solemn Simulacrums. Use the ability. Token down. We cycle. That triggers Gavi. We get another token. That's a Sun Titan. That's a pretty cool card. Can't bring back the Trilobite, though, unless we find an Anthem of some sort. That's awkward. I think we're just gonna... How much mana do we have? We have 5, 6, 7. Would be exactly enough to cycle this Irrigated Farmland and then cast the thing from the graveyard. Seems fine to me. Till the end of your next turn? Okay. So, cycle this guy. That'll trigger Astral Drift. We'll target the Malik. We can try and cheese them with the not forgetting to change their zone, but I'll just click no as to avoid that. Cycle the Farmland. We draw a Remote Isle. Nice. More cycling. Play the Moloch from the graveyard, and that'll ETB and target the Irrigated Farmland, so now we can play the Irrigated Farmland. And we'll go ahead and play that. Now we've got ourselves a 4/4. Let's do some attacking. I'm just going to go ahead and try and eat this Solemn Simulacrum right now. Like, I don't want to just sit there all game as a blocker, because it will do that. It will do that. At some point, you're better off just giving them the card so that they're open for attacks. So, creatures go in, Solemn blocks, it'll die, opponent will draw a card, and Xeno will take 2 damage. Opponent's going to activate that Makokoro one more time, all for that. We draw, Brawlin Skyshark Raider. That's a commander that I'm interested in playing. Hopefully we get that into the game today. So far from what I'm seeing from this Precon, this is actually a pretty solid Precon. I don't know if we're just drawing really well, or if the deck is just pretty juiced. I know these were fetching a pretty high price tag. I was looking at it at my LGS, and I think it was like somewhere near like $70. Whew. Steep. I just want Zerta and like the free cycle of cards. The rest of the cycling deck I'm like not super interested in, but I don't know that my LGS has like individual cards from Commander 20 available yet. Here comes a Reality Smasher for opponent. When it becomes the target of spell an opponent controls, counter that spell unless it discard a card. Yeah. Brings it to opponent's turn, and Vance's Blasting Cannons will trigger. Here comes that Robber of the Rich. Here comes Kari Zev. Free equip from the Hero's Blade. Yup. Opponent's going to crew up the Smuggler's Copter. It's going to loot. Smuggler's Copter's going to hit us again. Culling Dais for opponent. Yeah, it's a pretty cool card. Sacrifice the token whenever Kari Zev attacks. Ooh. I just noticed opponent flipped over their Vance's Blasting Cannon. And that's one of the things with that card. Ooh, 3 damage to any target, huh? But that's one of the things with that card is that I think a lot of the time I'd actually rather keep it on the front side. Like, I'd rather it didn't flip over. That's a Goblin Bombardment. Okay. Opponent's got some things going over there. Maybe I should have countered one of those. Kind of got focused on the Hive Mind coming up. Pyromancer's Goggles. Spicy. Twinning Staff. If you would copy a spell 1 or more times, instead copy it that many times plus an additional time. You may choose new targets for an additional copy. Oh, what? Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Oh, my. Whatever. I'm going to let it through. I'm going to see what he's up to. We've only got one counter that I know about, so we'll try to stop the big thing, I guess. But if a bunch of copies are going on the stack, could be an issue. Brings it back to our turn. There's a Fluctuator. Cycling abilities you activate cost up to 2 less to activate. Let's cycle the Remote Isle. Astral Drift will trigger. We'll blink the Kari Zev just to unequip the sword. Use the ability. Ooh, we draw a Decree of Justice. And we get another 2/2. What are we doing next? Maybe we put the Impetus on the Reality Smasher here. Well, you know what we should have did? We should have targeted the Rooting Moloch. Oh, and I should have played... Man, I messed this turn up. Crap. Should have played the Brawlin first. Whoops. So we'll get this into play. And we get the partner. Let's go find ourselves a Sky Shark. Get ourselves Shabraz. Do we have enough? No, we're going to be one short. Bummer. So let's get the Shiny Impetus into play. Put it on the Reality Smasher. Oh, right. We have to discard a card. I think we can manage that, actually. Guess I'm going to get rid of this Ethereal Forger. It's been... It's not blowing me away. That'll trigger Brawlin. That'll put a counter on it and do 1 damage to each opponent. Pretty good. Let's do some attacking. Send some 2/2s into GVR and the 4/4 into Chaotix. Opponent's going to block with the Solemn Simulacrum as we expected, but just trying to clear out the blockers. I'll give him the card at this point. Oh, okay. So Kari Zev worked the right way. It does come back at the end step, and Hero's Blade is going to come back to it. Oh, right. Yeah, that doesn't actually unequip it. I accomplished nothing. Right. Next time, I'm going to target our Rooting Moloch and try to get back our Remote Isle. But we're also getting to a point where we can just play this Decree of Justice. I think we can make 2 4/4s right now. Or we could cycle it for a bunch of soldiers. It's not awful. Reality Smasher going on the attack. We'll get a treasure token out of it. Sending it into Chaotix. It goes down to 30. That's a blasphemous act. Was not counting on that. Oh, right. We've got this guardship thing. Yeah. Let's do that. Fierce Guardship. Free counterspell. So that gets countered. That seemed like a good time to hold on to that thing. The field's wide open for Hive Mind, though, and some crazy things will probably ensue there. Ooh. I don't know that we want a Decree of Justice with a Hive Mind out. Oh, Mizium Mortars. I think it's just a single target, though, right? No, it was overloaded. Ouch. Opponent got all the removal. All right, we're going to have to work a little bit. Goblin Welder. Oh, no, our Moloch guy got exiled because of the Abandoned Sarcophagus. Bummer. Here comes Chandra Fire Artisan, and they're going to exile the top card of their library. Here comes a Loyal Apprentice for opponent, sure. And a Sin Prodder, all the red value over there. Red value .deck. Partner with doesn't bring it back from the graveyard, does it? Doesn't have the reminder text. Ah, this one does. Nope, just the library. Opponent goes to combat, gonna get a token. Yep. And they'll crew the Smuggler's Copter. Loyal Apprentice into Chaotix. Thopter into us. Kari Zev into us. It's got Menace. We only have a single blocker. And Smuggler's Copter into opponent. So they get the loot. They create a token. And now they've got a pretty sizable token army over there. They built up really quick. Hero's Blade can be reattached to the monkey if they want. They leave it where it is. So Chaotix, the power went out at his house. He messaged me through Discord, and he got disconnected from the game. It was unfortunate. Kind of wanted to see what he had going. Had that hive mind, had all those spell doublers. I think we were going to be in for a real treat. When it goes to the end of combat, the token gets exiled. There's a mountain. I guess we play the mountain. Could Sun Titan for the land. It's a thing we could do. Opponents are fairly low on cards, so I'm not expecting too much more removal. I think I like that. Let's go for the Sun Titan. So Sun Titan, get the Remote Isle. Use the ability. Get the Fluctuator into play. And next turn we think about either Shabraz or the Decree of Justice. We do have a wide open shot to the Chandra right here, so I think we take that. Definitely don't want it to ultimate. Swing into the Chandra. Yes, this is the one that does damage when it loses loyalty counters. Opponent gets 2 damage to a target. Goblin Welder. Nah, it just goes to our face. Oh. Opponent's gonna Miracle or Reforge the Soul. Alright. Well, we can still cast this from the graveyard. We're gonna lose the Shark, though. At least we got the Sun Titan in. Feel decent about that. That's one thing I'm noticing in this deck right now. Just needs a few ways to draw additional cards. Kind of refill your hand a bit after all the cycling stuff. That's a Locust God. Hesperia's kind of cool. Got some lands. Psychotic Impetus. Whenever enchanted creature attacks you, scry 2. Oh, we got the other Impetus as well. 1/1 and Goaded. Whenever it attacks each other creature that's attacking your opponent, gets +1/+1. Cool. Oh no! Opponent's gonna Vandal Blast our Fluctuator, but they didn't hit the Abandoned Sarcophagus, and I think that's the one we actually want more in this moment. Sun Titan can get the Fluctuator back. It's good news. It's good news. Oh, opponent's gonna get a Spine of Isha. No good. No good. What do they go after? Maybe the Planeswalker. Come on, Planeswalker. Astral no, the Sun Titan. Of course. Okay, okay. So we're gonna need to put some work into opponent. We're going to want to get rid of that Goblin Welder if we can. They can do that trick with the Spine of Isha every turn, and that's going to be a bad time. Lightning Greaves for opponent. Opponent equips the Greaves to the Goblin Welder. No good. That's no good. We put the White Impetus on Kari Zev, and that'll actually be a lot of damage. Opponent's going to activate the Makokoro. We could use a cardless cycling. Nope, it's a Plains. Ouch. Gonna send the Reality Smasher over to the Chandra. Sure, we'll get a treasure token. The Abandoned Sarcophagus is still here, so maybe we're just still on the, Oh no, Decree of Justice got exiled because of the Sarcophagus. Oh, the drawback. I don't know what to make of that drawback. It's interesting. There's a lot of reasons things end up in the graveyard when they aren't cycled. Oh, that hurts. Alright, nope, so I think we're back on Locust God now. That's a Blackblade Reforge for opponent. Eey. Sin Prodder trigger for opponent. Opponent reveals a Valakut. I'm going to take the damage. It's 0, and we're going to put that Valakut into the graveyard so that we don't get shot with the Valakut. Although, I suppose if the Lightning Greaves went away, the Valakut gets rid of the Goblin Welder. Here comes the Soul Ring. Maybe we just play the Locust God and activate the Locust God. Because that'll get us a token, that'll get us another token off the Locust God, one off the Gavi, one off the Locust God. Doesn't seem awful. That's an Ogre Battle Driver. That's going to do some damage. And a Tectonic Giant. More damage. Trigger the Ogre Battle Driver. Yup. Activates the Smuggler's Copter. Loyal Apprentice. Make a Thopter. Trigger the Battle Driver. It's a 3/1. Opponent sending everything to the brothers Yamazaki opponent. Doesn't want any part of this Goblin Welder Spine of Isha nonsense. This is going to hurt. So there's a Tectonic Giant trigger, a Smuggler's Copter loot trigger, and a Kari Zev create a monkey trigger. Opponent goes to damage mode on Tectonic Giant. Sure. Trying to lay down the hurts. The token gets the Ogre Battle Driver trigger, can move the blade if they want. Opponent's going to Goblin Bombardment the Goat token in the way. Remove the blocker. This is going to be so much damage. Especially with like a bunch of like, none of them are huge. Highest power is 4, but, I don't know, highest power is 5, sorry. But, yeah, there's a bunch of small to mid-sized stuff getting pumped up. It's a lot of damage. A lot of damage. So there's the 3 damage. Opponent started at 27. Let's see where they end up. It kills opponent. They go from 27 to 0. Exacxies. Wow. We need a board wipe. We need a board wipe. Oh my. One thing to think about, opponent has so much stuff that they could Goblin Bombardment or Locust God. I don't love the way that sounds. Ogre Battle Driver is a fairly high priority if we can find a way to get rid of that, because we don't want all the tokens triggering off of that. Migratory Route, importantly, it's got cycling, but it also creates 4 1/1 bird tokens. Both of those modes seem relevant, honestly. I think I'm going to get the Locust God into play. Might as well get our best thing in, right? So we could cycle this, draw a card that would get us 2 tokens, which is decent, and then we could still play Isperia, and then if opponent doesn't shoot our stuff before combat, which they might, then when they attack us, we would draw 1,000,000 cards and make 1,000,000 cards with the Locust God. One thing we could do too is we could put this one on the Locust God, which would give it more toughness. I don't know that opponent's sacrificing 6 things to shoot our Locust God. 4 maybe. 6. When we play a land, we'll have 7 mana. Those 4 tokens seem pretty relevant. I think we're just going to play the Migratory Route. No, maybe not. Oh, man. If we cast it, we won't be able to get it back. Oh, we can. You know what we can do? We can cycle it and then play it from the grave. There we go. Perfect. Cycle it for free. I'm trying to remember all our stuff here. What can we blink? We can blink this token. Get rid of the token. It'll lessen the damage just a teeny bit. So we get a basic land. We'll grab an island. Play the Migratory Route. Let's play a land first. Play the Reliquary Tower. Now play the Migratory Route. So now we have 4 1/1s. That's some pretty good blocking. And I think we pass like that. We get attack with Gavi, but might as well hold up blocks. 2/5 is a pretty solid blocker. Sin Prodder, what do they reveal? Stolen Strategy, no thanks, I'll pay the 5. So we go down to 17. Opponent's going to sacrifice the Culling Dais and draw some cards. Goes up to 8. So looking for an answer. That's an Insurrection. I don't know that we can beat that. Yeah, I guess Insurrection happens. This is easy. Easy lethal. Easy lethal on us. Yeah, with our counterspell down, we just don't have an answer for Insurrection. It's not really a thing we can do. Kinda sucks. If we had more cycling stuff, maybe we could Astral Drift enough to, not lose, but even that's a stretch. Sounds like opponent was sitting on the Insurrection for a little while, so just waiting for the opportune moment. Namely right now. Yeah, all the damage triggers go off, no blocks, down we go. It's going to be like negative 30 probably. Negative 22, pretty close. Eternal Dragon, not going to get it done. Opponent revealed their hand, missed it though. I think there was an Underworld breach in there. So after the game, Glenn sent me a nice message. He said, a few years ago, he saw Kari Zev on game nights, and after watching that video, he wanted to know how to build the deck since it's not an obvious build around. And he saw my Kari Zev gameplay video and my how to build Kari Zev video, and that's when he discovered the channel, and now he's come full circle because he's beat my ass with a Kari Zev deck. So, thanks, Glenn. So, as far as a Precon goes, I think this is actually a pretty good deck. Now, there's an awkward thing right here where there's like way too many 3-drops in this deck, and I have to look through this a little bit more. It's probably because a lot of these have cycling, but from like a normal deck building perspective, you wouldn't want this many 3-drops and like a complete lack of 4 and 5 drops, basically. Also, a ton of 6 drops, same sort of thing. Like, you'd want to balance this out a little bit more. Obviously, a bit more removal, probably some better card draw into the deck. But the ramp actually felt pretty decent with the signets. Yeah, I don't know that the crystal's worth it. Maybe, maybe not. I'd have to play this deck more times. Decide if the cycling 3-mana rocks are really worth it. I'm not convinced, but I don't have an exact answer yet. So those are the main things that I would do to this deck so far is... you're going to want to clean up the removal a little bit, maybe a little bit better card draw, and then you'll need some sort of finisher in the deck. I'm sure this deck doesn't have like great finishers compared to what it's doing. I see a lot of token stuff happening. We've got the Decree, we've got the Locust God, Gavi herself makes tokens, so something like a Cathar's Crusade, probably going to be pretty decent, maybe a True Conviction. Reasonable place to be. You could go more on the Niv Mizzet plan if you wanted, and do more of a Curiosity Niv Mizzet combo kind of finish, if that's more your play style. That's a pretty easy one to set up as well. But yeah, as far as a Precon, I mean, this might be one of the most well-built Precons I think I've ever seen. Like, it really looks pretty good. The ramp felt good. We were doing stuff early, and I didn't feel like there were that many cards that like didn't belong in the deck. So, obviously things can always replace and be better and stuff like that. But yeah, all in all, I thought it was pretty cool. Obviously, we kind of got blown out by some removal, and That's going to happen. That's going to be a thing. Maybe another counterspell or two to protect your tokens. But I felt like the deck was doing a lot. It was fun to mess around with. So I'll have more stuff coming on Gavi in the future. Probably going to check out some budget options. Probably going to check out a full power build. So stay tuned for that stuff. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have 3 current Patreon supporters that became Angel tier Patreon supporters. And they are 2 Wieners, Christopher Navis, and Self. I can't thank you guys enough. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. And be sure to use the TCG affiliate player link, as it helps support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything.